Quinlan's here with us. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Yeah.
Pretty enjoyable weekend for Irish rugby fans generally.
Yeah, it was brilliant. The worry was, I suppose, Munster away. Well, there was a worry with the three Heineken Champions Cup ones. Really, you know, Munster's a little bit of fear about going to Gloucester, and Toulouse side then coming to Dublin, who were full of confidence and self-belief, and Leinster missing a lot of frontline players, and then the power of Racing going to Belfast. So there was no guarantee with any of the three of them. Connacht had a good home win, obviously, in the Challenge Cup as well. But going back to the other ones, I think Friday night, first and foremost, to have a comprehensive win like that, they were very, very comfortable.
Friday night was stunning.
Yeah, it was, I think, because
it wasn't
Gloucester,
a close win, it wasn't a drop goal in the last minute, it was we're better than you and we're crushing you.
Yeah, Gloucester were very impressive to get away in Exeter, and I was thinking, God, that round 5-1 for Munster is going to be difficult. And given on the back of what happened in Cast in round 4, I think we spoke about the injustices before, and maybe some regrets Munster would have had with managing the game and getting a result there would have come back to bite them, but that was a fantastic response. But their form in recent weeks has been really good, and the win against Leinster away in Connacht, so confidence and self-belief is high.
Their full team.
Yeah, well, that's the key. You know, look, we know, and everyone speaks about Leinster's depth, I think, and Munster have created a little bit more depth. They have some options off the bench now, but still, you want the frontliners available, and you know, the ones that kind of jump out are Klein and Byrne in the second row, that engine room. Having Tommy O'Donnell back, he got a knock the other night again, but I thought he played really, really well. Carbery was fantastic. Farrell back was significant for him because even though he's still a little bit off, he still had a massive impact, and when he carries the ball, he offers, you know, he's just so big and physical. He gets through the gain line.
And he can pass.
He can offload, he can pass, he can link, so they can build stuff around him, and he's a threat. And I think that helps Carbery as well. And Rory Scannell was really good. So
I was going to say, they also do this other thing where they have a left-footed kicker who takes the kicks on the right touchline and boots it the length of the field. It's like...
Someone texted me last week, Ger, and said, after the game, and said, if that Munster team stay fit, they can challenge. And, you know, maybe because I played for Munster for so long and I'm kind of restricting myself to getting too far ahead. And they won't either. And let's be realistic here. You know, Gloucester were poor, but if that team stays fit and actually plays a number of games together, you think it'll take a good side to beat them.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of good options now, but the key is trying to stay fit. And Johan van Graan deserves credit because he hasn't had that full deck and opportunity to play those guys. And if they're readily available, they will take. The problem they have now is they may look like they've got to beat Exeter first and foremost. They'll fancy their chances going to Thomond Park, and they're a strong, resilient side who probably have their own regrets about the pool stages. You certainly can't underestimate them, but Munster have just got to try and win that game at the weekend, but it looks like they'll probably still be away in the quarter-final if they get there.
Look, we weren't speaking to you over the course of Christmas and over the last couple of weeks when we kind of saw this graph of Munster slowly but surely getting an identity together, especially in the backs. Have they arrived close to that end point where you can see the plan that they have, especially in that back line?
They've built a bit of momentum on, you know, and that's important when you get some big wins, and that's why the Leinster one was probably so significant psychologically, that they, you know, trying to cope with another loss there would have been set them back, and you know, psychologically it just was really important that they got that result. And then going to Galway was, you know, Connacht have been really good this season, and it was a strong Munster side that went, and we all thought there'd be a bit more rotation, but they picked a very strong side. So I think they were probably the real winners of the Interpros, Munster, to get that one and away in Connacht. And that instills a bit of belief. And again, like I say, you have a bit of luck with some guys back. They still have some more players to come back. But what jumped out at me was the options off the bench. I think Jeremy Loughman has been really good recently. James Cronin is out long term, which he's a loss to them. But Reece Marshall, having him back, and John Ryan coming off the bench, Billy Holland then came in for Peter O'Mahony. You know, you just have options there now to make a little bit of an impact, particularly up front. And you know, we know if Earls and Conway get enough of ball, they're electric, and they were brilliant the other night. And Mike Haley has actually improved and seems to be settling really well there and showing some potential. So The key is probably, get through next week and hope, there's going to be a lot of changes during the Six Nations period, but hope that the vast majority or all that group will be fit if they get to a quarter final, and then try and keep them well and get a bit of luck with them towards the end of the season. So Peter O'Mahony, it's unlikely he'll play this weekend. I think they can cope without him. They have some other options in the back row. Clothill will probably be back. Wycherley could play.
It's risky, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But look, I think if he's injured, he's injured. It's kind of
popped the rib.
He popped the rib,
Sorry, have you done that?
I haven't popped the rib. I've got plenty. It just the rib displaces a little bit in the joint area, and it can be very, very sore.
I was going to say that.
I've done it to my sternum before, which is obviously your ribs as well, the centre point of your ribs, but it can be very, very sore. And for him to come off at that stage,
how do they get it back in? Does someone have to
just kind of stays where it is. It really and just heals up. And but he may play. Look, Peter O'Mahony might play. You put on the big padding and the bubble wrap and strap it up. But
is that almost one of the more impressive elements of Friday? Was that after he went off and then Murray went off, obviously about 10 minutes later?
Yeah, I think the scene was set though. They'd laid out their stall with the scrum dominance, the pressure on the Gloucester line out, and now in fairness, Gloucester's back three were really poor in fielding the box kicks, and they knocked on a lot of ball and they made it easier for Munster, but they went out with a real intent and a confidence that they were going to get the job done, and they just had this feel about them that they're more steely, more resilient now, because we've spoken about their away form. They know that themselves. Pre-Christmas it wasn't good, but this was a real clinical, strong performance and
killer instinct just before half time.
Yeah, there was a couple of, and obviously if you want to pick through some holes, you say they could have got a few more scores and probably should have, but
that's always
they're building, and to win 41-15 away from home against anyone in round 5 of Europe is a seriously impressive result.
Owen has listed off every single person who might at any point have helped to deliver Joey Carbery to his spiritual home at Thomond Park.
I think he actually drove him down. Did you? First day you were his taxi. He's pleased, but he was incredible, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The key here is after Cast, people are saying he missed the kicks, his game management wasn't good, he was. Straight away there was that pessimism there, which
very Irish
happens. It's very Irish. We do that, don't we? We do it good, but his feet are firmly on the ground, I think, and part of that process is good for him. It'll be a bit of a learning process, but he said it himself after the match. If your forwards don't deliver and don't perform up front and set the tone, it's harder for halfbacks, and that's what they did in the last couple of weeks, and that's why he's excelled. He's a natural talent, and he's only going to grow into that role more and more and get more confident.
He hasn't missed a kick since, though.
He hasn't missed a kick, but that comes with that little bit of confidence and belief, and also I saw Rog tweeting about it, and I spoke to him about it. Is his ability to take it to the line and really kind of test the defensive line, make defenders hold and stop. And he did that really well the other night, and he brings other players into the game well. So, like I said, the forwards are really good, and they laid on a platform for him. One other area that was really impressive was defensively. They just looked like there was a massive enthusiasm and organisation. You know, enthusiasm is one thing. When one guy shoots out of the line and you leave a gap, he's trying to, show loads of enthusiasm. But collectively, they were very organised, in good shape. And Van Grant spoke about it afterwards. Even when Ollie Thorley scores that try after about 35 phases, Munster got better again after that, because they scored straight away after that. Because you build belief, you build an energy around that kind of defensive shape. And if someone scores on the sideline, we've always been told as players, well, you don't say well done, but you go, well, we couldn't prevent that. You can prevent all that stuff, that narrow stuff. And they defended, they showed a real steel about them, and that's what they can build on, that kind of stuff. Do they need to be more clinical? Yes. But I think that will improve if the more they get the top line players out in the field together.
Is there an argument to try and get Carbery into the Ireland team at 15?
Not at the moment, I don't think. But if he was to start there, he's an incredible talent and he's a great footballer, and he showed that with Leinster last year. He has that X factor and that ability to do something special. So I don't think it'll happen at the moment because I think Rob Kearney will still be the full back for the Six Nations, but it's an option, and he is someone that you could easily put in there because he's that talented.
Shouldn't you try it out now in the Six Nations so you're not doing it for the first time in the World Cup? Like, when we think back to the Lions, right, and you've got two really good 10s, and we actually got way better, the Lions got way better when we had both of them in the team. Like, we're not going to play Carbery at 12, very unlikely. I mean, not impossible.
The problem I have with that, Ger, is do you then put Ross Carbery on the bench as your second 10, or who's your second 10? Because if you have a full back, just say you did hypothetically play Sexton and Carbery in the team.
Put Cooney on the bench.
Yeah, moving Carbery then to 10, there's a lot of reshuffling going on, and I don't know about, I'm not sure about that.
The All Blacks did it with Bowden Barrett.
Yeah, they can do that a little bit, but not for me at the moment. Anyway, but he can do it, absolutely.
Is there an argument to start him a couple of games in the Six Nations?
Yes, there is, yeah.
Irrespective of health of Sexton, so that we...
There is, there is.
For the first game?
No, not for the first game. Not against England. I think you could...
What's the point in just playing against Italy?
Again. Yeah, I wouldn't just play him against Italy. I think I'd maybe look at the Scottish or French game as well. Or maybe, look, Sexton's going to start the majority of them. He's your number one. He's
got a little bit of a niggle at the moment, clearly, because otherwise Leinster would have picked him at the weekend.
Yeah, so if he can, but look, Six Nations is about winning as well, Ger. I think, and
it's not. This one time, it's not.
It is for me.
No,
it is for me.
But it can't be, right? Because we've traditionally done really well in the Six Nations the year of a World Cup, and it's been irrelevant afterwards, except as a stick to beat the team with. But you were the best team in the Six Nations.
7 or 8 months away. You know what I mean? You got to win in the here and now, and that's the way they'll be thinking. That's the way I think as a player. Win the Six Nations. England first. Win that. Make sure you're going to Cardiff, whether it's hopefully challenge going for a Grand Slam, but at least going for being in with a shout of winning the championship. I know what you're saying, and I fully understand what you're saying about it not being the complete and sole and dominating focus.
Here's the thing: I don't actually think we would have any less of a chance of winning against England with Carbery playing the way he is now. Like, I don't think we would be like
I know.
Are we minus 2 points, minus 3 points, minus 5 points? I don't think we're like.
Yeah, well, Johnny Sexton will be coming in chatting to you in a few weeks, and you'll be working with him. I don't think he'll be too pleased with you.
I just don't think the step down is as big as it used to be.
No, it's not. No, look, there's no doubt about it, and that'll actually spur Sexton on more. But he'll not want to give Joey Carbery a sniff, and he's right.
As we saw.
Yeah, he's right. I'd be the exact same if there was somebody else. Even if you're good friends, I was good friends with Simon Easterby all the way through, and we played against each other. We tore lumps out of each other, and it happened in training as well. And that's just the nature of it, the competitive nature. But yeah, he proved that he's getting better and he can manage a game better, and we'll wait and see.
Yeah, all right. Annette Kent asks on YouTube, Carbery left Leinster to get more time at 10. Why are you asking if he'll play at fullback? And then an answer from Sean J says, because then he gets to be on the pitch at the same time as Sexton. And like, definitely, like, more big game experience. Certainly, that's the way that Leinster had envisaged using him into the future, would be play him at fullback and play Sexton at 10.
But it makes more sense for him
That was their vision.
If you're going to start him in any jersey for Ireland, it's going to be 10, because he hasn't. That's where it's worked before for Joey Carbery in an Ireland jersey.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do it.
I think the option can come during games, bringing him off the bench. If you're chasing a game, you want to change something up, you want something different, that you can. That's the way it'll happen.
We should talk about Leinster, because Leinster's performance against Toulouse was as good as a Leinster performance as it's been in the group stages. I would argue almost ever, because of the nature of the amount of players that they were missing, the quality, the number of caps, the general sense that, this is a very young team, and against a Toulouse team who had beaten them already this season and are absolutely tearing up trees in the top 14. Now, I don't know if Toulouse were into this game as the game wore on.
They picked a side that suggested that they wanted to win. So I think they made a mistake in putting Ramos at 10 and taking out Zach Holmes. Now, Ramos has played well in the last few weeks for him.
He's
normally full back, and Maynard had been playing well at full back, and they'd done a bit of rotation there, and Ramos went well, and of course they beat Toulon 39-0 at home, and they go away and beat Agen, which is a good result away, and any result away from home in France is good. So they went with that formation, and they quickly in the second half changed it, brought Holmes back on and took Ramos off. I thought he was really poor, Ramos. Holmes offered more of a threat, and it was too late at that stage.
Yeah.
Intermac at 12 has been sensational. He's such a lovely footballer. He's really intelligent, and he brings so many guys in around him. He's like an extra playmaker as a 12, because he can play 10 as well, and he didn't get a touch of the ball. He just didn't. They did not have the ball, and that was down to Leinster's ability to recycle, to hold on to it, to be relentless. And I think I heard Leo Cullen saying afterwards that even though they didn't get the scores and build up a big score, they asked so many questions, and they were like, they looked. Now, to be fair to them, up to half time, they defended manfully Toulouse, and they didn't give up, and they kept trying to put in the big tackles. But it was wave after wave after wave, and there was a real inevitability at half time that the home team were 10-6 up against a strong breeze.
Yeah.
And that their game management will be so much better. Their box kicks from Luke McGrath and Ross Byrne, and their just overall kicking game. Toulouse couldn't get out of their own 22 practically in the second half, and that pressure. And you sensed as the game wore on, they were just getting tireder, and mentally they were becoming a bit fragile. But Leinster were relentless now.
Yeah.
They were really, all their forwards were like, it was just as if this was the standard that we want to be at, with our tempo, with our pace, with our aggression, with our energy, and that all 23 have to reach this level today, and this is what we want of you. And they all did. In there was a few mistakes and there was a few errors that there always is, but just the pace and the aggression that they had, and the relentless enthusiasm to clean out breakdowns and stuff like that, and make tackles and just frustrate the life out of Toulouse. So Toulouse couldn't play. So you have a team who are full of confidence, who throw the ball around, who are scoring sensational tries in the top 14, and they're a little bit shell-shocked because Colby's not getting the ball. He's probably the most dangerous player in the world. Intermac, the playmaker, is not really getting it. Guitoun in the centre, the other centre, made one line break in the first half, and they end up dropping it. They showed a few little glimpses early on that they were quite dangerous. But that's it. Their forwards are well beaten up front, and Leinster, they deserve a lot of credit. You're missing Carney, Levy, O'Brien, Toner, Sexton, probably leaving people out here, Henshaw. Like, you're not talking about Irish international, you're talking about British and Irish lines, top class, world class international players. You're taking 5, 6, 7 of them out, and maybe another 2 or 3. Fergus McFadden was missing as well.
Yeah, they had thousands of caps.
There were about
almost.
9 or 10 top class players missing, and to be able to cope. So that was a timely reminder to the rest of Europe that we can cope with the injuries, and we're still here, and we can produce the
Leinster Munster final is going to be pretty good.
This is starting again.
Where are we going? Newcastle. That'll be a good weekend.
Newcastle,
Weekend,
it'll be a good weekend there. But it was very impressive from Leinster, to be fair.
Is there a kind of a strange way that we haven't actually given Leinster credit for the mentality with which they approach games like this? Because you mentioned, say, the intensity, which I know is kind of a cliche around rugby teams, but I don't think it's been a cliche around this Leinster team. It's been around meticulous planning and fantastic setup and formation from the likes of Lancaster and Cullen.
But it's accuracy as well, and it's the pace where you do things, and their application is just, it's very quick, and there's loads of energy around the way they do it. So you can kamikaze fly into rucks and for 5 minutes and then get tired and be a little bit off. They just keep a high level of the way they do things all the time, and that's what good teams do. And so
I think it's players coming into form as well. Like, I thought that Van der Fleer was amazing again, but is like getting even better as the season goes on. And
you think of Sean O'Brien missing, Levy missing, Jordy Murphy goes up to Ulster. You know?
I think as well at 13 it's going to be an issue now when it comes to who the hell plays alongside Gary Ringrose for Ireland. Like, can Chris Farrell play 12? Somebody said no. Will you say no, he can't?
I never said that. I
no,
don't think
somebody else. Can he play 12?
I would imagine so. I couldn't see why not.
You're not the perfect 12.
Possibly, yeah. You probably have
Why
to
do you say
ask.
Well, because like your 13 is supposed to be your defensive mastermind and also this attacking thing. 12 traditionally was, I'm a big lad and I'm going to kill you. Obviously, Darcy was a small lad who could kill you, but
you have a big.
He has
fella.
the offload out the back of his hand, but he can also
set.
pass it both ways. So if we're going to do the reverse move off set pieces to
Jeez, he's throwing
Stockdale.
spanners into
Yeah.
the works this morning, isn't he?
I would have thought at 12, I would have thought Bundy and Henshaw would have been a good bit ahead of Chris Farrell at 12. Maybe you're right.
They are there at the moment. Listen, he's definitely an option. I guarantee you, if one or the other were injured,
Loves Chris Farrell.
yeah, he's an option there, and he could be a serious option as well. But the others are ahead at the moment. But he needs to play more rugby.
Ringrose is a guaranteed starter.
I just think
so.
I just think when he touches the ball, he just offers something different. Ireland play better from an attacking point of view when he's there. He's got stronger. He's reading of the game. At one stage, Colby looked like he was in the clear. Leinster were kind of opened up a little bit. He was running across the field, and Ringrose just stayed in his inside and just tracked him. And it was really intelligent defending. He didn't panic and kind of jump out at him, because Colby wants him to do that in just steps. And I just think every time he touched the ball, and defensively as well, he's a different class.
Jacob Stockdale, has he got some Jedi mind tricks going on against the opposition that they go one way and the ball goes the other again and again and again?
Yeah, I think the first try was more impressive, because he gets put away on the wing, but there's a number 8, Claessens, is coming across, who's a big, strong number 8, and he just bops him off him and just accelerates. Then it's incredible. I just think his strike rate is phenomenal. Jacob Stockdale, and the second try, the bounce, he gets a bit of luck. But you nearly think when he kicks it that he's going to get it. You sense now when he puts one of these dinks in over the top, you think of the one in Twickenham, the All Blacks, this one, and he's done a good few more with Ulster as well. Great footballer.
Feels like the opposition are psyched out.
He got very lucky with that one. There's three Racing
They all go
players.
the wrong way.
But you create your own luck if you put these little ones in there. But there's some
Should
sort of
might be running in the
but there's
direction.
actually some sort. There's a stat that I read a couple of months ago that 95% of the time that you kick the ball away in your own 22 with grubbers. You know, if someone is attacking and you put a grubber through, that you don't score, the opposition clear it up.
Yeah.
I think his stat is probably 95% of the time when he kicks it, he scores. He gets it, he gets there. But overall, the Ulster performance was a hugely impressive start. They kind of shocked Racing a little bit, who were missing a few players, but still have a massive squad. And then they're hanging on for dear life. 50, 55 minutes, I think it just changes.
But they're the type of wins that early on they
wouldn't have had, yeah.
And also for a new coach, like, it binds everybody together. So Paul Pogba earlier on was talking about the goal was basically because all week they'd been working on the fact that Spurs are weak down the left-hand side. So that Pogba's going into that changing room afterwards and going, the work that we did all week showed up in the game and was hugely beneficial to us. That all those Ulster players are going into the changing room afterwards and going, this guy, this head coach, this coaching team, they're setting us up to win the biggest games of the season against one of the best teams in Europe. That's the type of thing that binds everybody together really fast.
If it comes off.
Yeah.
And that's what we hear a lot about Joe Schmidt, is the information he passes on. It becomes evident when they play. And that's how players start to believe in a coach. If you give information that's wrong and you don't agree with, and then you're proved right in the game as a player, that's when it is that disconnect.
Yeah.
So I think McFarland he's obviously, himself and his other coaches have done a job in setting him up right, but also we're mentioning a Munster's selection. In the last couple of weeks and in November when they won the back-to-back games, you kind of saw a team that's gone, this is a good side now. There's a little bit of a better look about that, and they're coping without Henderson as well.
Yeah.
So there's a better look to the side. Now the issue they have, which takes a bit of time, and it's similar to Munster, trying to close the gap to Leinster and getting more depth in your squad. Ulster are lacking a little bit of depth and quality. If they get injuries and if some of those frontliners are missing. But they've given themselves a great chance, and the mood in the camp, you talk about United and the mood changing, there's a change of mood up in Ulster.
No, totally.
Which is good to see, because they're, it's great to see them back. They haven't made the knockout stages in 5 years, and they've a great chance now going to Leicester at the weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they picked a B team for that one. Just a quick word about Connacht's performance at the weekend as well. Nearly lost this game with a penalty in the last minute that ends up getting kicked to the corner by Sale instead of going for the posts to win it. But again, notwithstanding, it's early in a new regime hard-fought wins at home in this competition, knockout rugby coming their way as well. It's exactly what Connacht need.
Trying to manage both Europe and the Pro 14 is a challenge, and what Andy Friend has done since he's come in is completely changed the landscape. There's a smile back on their faces, their confidence is good, their skill set, and they're playing with a smile on their face again. You contrast that to 12 months ago where it was all doom and gloom and negativity, and he's completely changed that. So he deserves a massive amount of credit, Andy Friend, for what he's done. He's kept nice and quiet, head down, but you sense and you feel and you hear that there's positivity there. Even when they lose games, they're kind of back to that team. They're not back as good as that team in 16 when they won the Pro 14, but you sense that that's where they're going, that their confidence is high, their attack is brilliant. They're a great side to watch.
Yeah.
And again at the weekend against a very strong Sale side with a lot of big names in their team. It was a good win. They nearly undid themselves in the end and probably could have been better. It wasn't their best performance, but to get that result and have a chance of, I always thought, Jaron, when you're heading off or when this period is over around 5 or 6, that if you can tick the box after round 6 and say we've got knockout rugby in Europe.
Can we stick that table up again? I just have a quick query here, right? So there's a little bit of an anomaly where you can have won 3 games and got your bonus points and be ahead of Connacht, even though Connacht have won 4 games. I just sometimes feel like you win more games.
Yeah, it's the losing bonus point, and their points difference is better. They're 39. If you look at the difference there, they're 39 better. So Sale will beat Perpignan with a bonus point at home.
Yeah.
Connacht have got to go to Bordeaux. I think they're out of it. Bordeaux, will they put out a second team? More than likely. You would hope Connacht get a bonus point. They've both finished in 22, and then Connacht have one more win, and Sale are top in the group. But the bonus point thing makes teams play, keep going to the end as well, you know.
You know the way in the...
you could bring it down to wins. I know what you're going to say.
Well, in the
first,
Six Nations,
and then
you
go
can
to
win the
bonus
Grand
points.
Slam,
Yeah.
and you're guaranteed to win it. You get the super bonus points if there's definitely a way to make sure that wins and winning games is more important than losing bonus points. Or anyway, we come back to that one again some other time.